Welcome back to News 3 Today. Savannah is a city filled with stories. Some are true and some are loosely based on the true. As we prepare for Thanksgiving, let's take a look at a Savannah story involving the holiday and a well-known song. Tour guide and Savannah content creator Enocha Edenfield joins us this morning with our Thanksgiving edition of Historic Happenings. Thank you so much for being here again. I say jingle all the way.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a hint
Yes.
to what we're talking about, right? So let's go back to the church, the Unitarian Universalist Church. Many call it the Jingle Bells Church. It's on Troop Square.
Right.
There's a reason why.
Yes. So in the 1850s, the music minister for that church was a man named James Lord Pierpont. Very
Yes.
important sounding name. He was the music minister there, and he was also a songwriter. One of the songs he wrote was a song that we now call Jingle Bells, but originally it was just called One Horse Open Sleigh. Much longer title.
Yes.
I like Jingle Bells better. And a lot of people around town have probably heard that this song was originally written for Thanksgiving. That is a long-held rumor.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. There's a couple of problems with that. Maybe it was written for Thanksgiving service, but also probably not. Thanksgiving was not widely celebrated in the United States for a long time. That was considered a New England holiday. In fact, it wasn't declared a national holiday until 1863.
Yeah.
And we were kind of the Civil War then, so we definitely wouldn't have celebrated it then.
Yeah. And it was pretty racy back then, the lyrics.
It was. So nowadays, the lyrics by today's standards are very tame, but by 1850 standards, it was basically every song you've ever heard about fast cars and hot girls. So if he did perform it as a Thanksgiving Day service, it would have had slightly different lyrics.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been in the church, right?
No. There's also an issue with it not actually mentioning any holiday. It does not mention Thanksgiving. It also doesn't mention Christmas.
No, it doesn't.
Its affiliation with the holiday came about just because it takes place in wintertime.
Yeah.
And there's also controversy about where it was written.
Because he talks about stuff in that song that we don't do here.
Right. We've noticed we don't really get a lot of snow. Last time it stuck here was 2018.
Yeah. And we don't dash through it.
No, we don't. We carefully walk. But he used to live in Boston. And so both Boston and Savannah claim to be the home of Jingle Bells. It was not published until 1857 when he was living here in Savannah, but a lot of people in Boston claim that he originally wrote it.
I can see that.
While he was up there. And it was definitely inspired by his time up there.
The sleigh ride.
Right.
You know?
So I think both cities have equal claim to it.
Let's talk about after his death, because he died in Florida, was brought back here to Savannah.
He married into a Savannah family here in town. His father-in-law was a mayor of Savannah at one point, but he died in Florida, and then afterwards he was brought back up here to be buried in Laurel Grove North Cemetery. Now, for any viewers who may try to go out there and find his headstone, if you can read music, don't look at the headstone closely. They just slap some music notes up there.
Really?
It doesn't actually
do
anything.
Okay, which is strange. But if you walk around town, you'll also see streets named after him and things of that nature, like Pierpont Circle, right?
Well, there's definitely a connection to his family here. Like I said, he did marry into a very important Savannah family, and so his legacy does continue today.
Okay. After Thanksgiving, we're getting ready for the Christmas season. You have a lot coming up and a very special tour, by the way.
Yes. So I started this last year. I'm bringing it back this year. I'm doing a Victorian Christmas ghost tour. Where we talk about Victorian Christmas traditions, how they affect the traditions that we have today, talk a little bit more about some of the Victorian houses downtown, and some of the ghost stories attached to them.
Is that where the figgy pudding comes from?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll talk more about that when you come in December. So we have a link to purchase your tickets for the tours on our website. Just visit wsav.com/Enocha. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure. And shout out to your mom who's here.
Yes. Yay, Mom.
Yay, Mom. Stay with us. You're watching News 3 Today at 11. We'll be right back.